Norma Jean Mortensen was born on June 1, 1926, in Los Angeles, California. Her life had a very difficult start. She never knew her father. Her mother, Gladys, had mental health problems and could not take care of a child. So, Norma Jean lived with different families. These families were foster families. They were paid to look after her. The little girl felt lonely and unwanted. She never had a real home. Sometimes, she lived with family friends. Sometimes, she lived in an orphanage. An orphanage is a home for children with no parents. She once said she felt like a stranger in every house. When Norma Jean was 16 years old, a family friend suggested a solution. She could get married. His name was James Dougherty. He was 21. She married him in 1942. It was not a love story. For Norma Jean, it was a way to leave the foster care system. She now had a home. During World War II, James worked in a factory. Then, he joined the military and had to go away. Norma Jean got a job, too. She worked at a factory. She helped make airplanes for the war. One day, an army photographer visited the factory. He took pictures of the workers. He took pictures of Norma Jean. She was very pretty. People liked her photos. The photographer said she could be a model. This was the beginning of a big change. Norma Jean started working as a model. She appeared in magazines and advertisements. She was a success. People in the movie business saw her pictures. They offered her a short contract with a movie studio, 20th Century Fox. The studio thought her name, Norma Jean Dougherty, was not good for a movie star. They gave her a new name, Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn came from a famous actress, Marilyn Miller. Monroe was her grandmother's last name. Marilyn Monroe began acting in small movie roles. She often played the part of a pretty, but not very smart, girl. She was usually the girlfriend of the main character. She had small parts in movies like The Asphalt Jungle and All About Eve. People noticed her, even in these small roles. She had a special quality on the screen. She wanted to be a serious actress. She took acting lessons. She worked hard to improve her skills. She also ended her marriage to James Dougherty. She was focused on her new career. In 1953, Marilyn became a big star. She starred in 3 successful movies. The first was Niagara. In this movie, she played a dangerous woman. It was a different role for her. The second was Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. She sang and danced in this film. She sang the famous song Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. The third movie was How to Marry a Millionaire. These movies made her one of the most famous women in America. Marilyn Monroe was now a symbol. She was the blonde bombshell. She had a beautiful face, a famous smile, and a special way of talking. People loved her. The public saw her as a happy, sexy, but sometimes silly woman. This was the image she showed in her movies. But her real life was very different. The real Marilyn was often sad and insecure. She felt nervous about her work. She was often late to the movie set. She had trouble remembering her lines. Some people in Hollywood thought she was difficult to work with. Others felt sorry for her and tried to help. She wanted people to see her as a good actress, not just a pretty face. In 1955, she moved to New York City. She studied acting at the famous Actors Studio. She worked with Lee Strasberg, a famous acting teacher. He helped her find a deeper way to act. She also started her own movie production company. This was a brave move for a woman in Hollywood at that time. She returned to Hollywood and made more successful movies. In 1959, she made Some Like It Hot. It was a comedy with Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon. The movie was a huge success. People still love it today. Marilyn's performance was perfect. She was funny and charming. Her next movie was The Misfits in 1961. It was a serious drama. The writer was her husband at the time, Arthur Miller. This movie was difficult for her. It was also the last completed movie for its star, Clark Gable. Marilyn Monroe's personal life was always in the newspapers. People were very interested in who she dated and who she married. Her first 2 marriages were when she was young. Her third marriage was to the famous baseball player, Joe DiMaggio, in 1954. He was a great American hero. The public called them the perfect couple. But their marriage did not last long. They were divorced after only 9 months. Joe DiMaggio was very traditional, and he did not like the Hollywood lifestyle. He did not like the public attention on Marilyn. However, he remained a close friend to her for the rest of her life. In 1956, she married Arthur Miller. He was a famous and intellectual writer. People were surprised. It seemed like an unusual match, the movie star and the serious writer. Marilyn was happy at first. She thought he understood her and respected her as an artist. She hoped this marriage would be different. But it was also a difficult relationship. They divorced in 1961. Marilyn had no children. She had several miscarriages, which made her very sad. She often said she wanted a family and a normal life. Behind her public smile, Marilyn struggled with deep personal problems. She felt very lonely. She had low self-esteem. She worried about her career. She had problems with sleeping. She began to depend on pills to sleep and pills to wake up. This was very damaging to her physical and mental health. In 1962, Marilyn was working on a new movie. It was called Something's Got to Give. But she was often sick and did not come to the set. The studio was very angry with her. They fired her from the movie. This was a big professional problem. But there were also some good things happening. She started working with a new photographer. She took some famous and beautiful photos. She seemed to be planning a comeback. She also became friends with important and powerful people. One of them was President John F. Kennedy. She sang Happy Birthday to him at a big public event in May 1962. Millions of people saw it on television. She looked beautiful and happy. However, in private, her life was falling apart. Her health was poor. Her mental state was unstable. She was sad and confused. On August 4, 1962, Marilyn Monroe spent the day at her home in Los Angeles. She talked to several friends on the telephone. In the evening, she went to her bedroom. Her housekeeper was worried about her later. That night, the housekeeper saw that the light was on under Marilyn's door. But she did not answer. The door was locked. The housekeeper called Marilyn's doctor. The doctor came and broke into the room. They found Marilyn in her bed. She was not breathing. She was dead. She was only 36 years old. There were many pills near her bed. The official report said her death was a probable suicide. It was likely that she took too many pills. But there are many other theories. Some people think it was an accident. Others think someone else was involved. The exact truth about her death remains a mystery. Marilyn Monroe's death was a shock to the world. She was so young and so famous. She was a symbol of beauty and glamour. But her story is also a very sad one. Today, she is still one of the most famous people in the world. Her image is everywhere. You can see it on posters, t-shirts, and art. People still watch her movies. They love her comedy and her unique screen presence. She was more than just a blonde bombshell. She was a hardworking woman who wanted to be taken seriously. She was a smart businesswoman who started her own company. She was a person with deep fears and sadness. The story of Marilyn Monroe is the story of two people. One was the public star, Marilyn Monroe. She was bright, funny, and full of life. The other was Norma Jean, the lonely girl who wanted to be loved. She never truly found the happiness she was looking for. Her life shows us the high price of fame. It reminds us that the person we see on the screen is not always the same as the person inside. Marilyn Monroe gave the world joy and beauty, but she could not find peace for herself. She remains an icon and a tragic figure, a symbol of Hollywood dreams and their cost.